Hi ladies, let's try another way of explaining communism. Imagine for a second that these are two classrooms. In a capitalist system, we would expect that grades were based on individual effort and merit. So, for example, we may have 4 students who've earned individually an A, a B, a C, and a D. In a socialist system, we expect some interference by government in order to equalise or balance the books. In the case of a classroom, what we might expect is that a teacher would intervene and assist more with students who are earning a C or a D. This might seem unfair for students who are earning A's, and yet equality is often based not on fairness, but on providing what is needed. If we compare, we can have a look at what a communist system of classroom would look like. Let's imagine the students at the top agreed to a bit of a social experiment. Having earned an A, a B, a C, and a D, they agreed to allow a communist system of grading to take place. Now, what that meant is that each student got an average of the results. So in this case, we might see that everyone was averaging maybe around a B minus. Who's going to be happy with this result? We can imagine that the students who previously earned C's and D's would be very pleased to discover that they were now earning B minuses. Student B might be a tiny bit upset that they've dropped to a B minus, but our student who earned that A is going to be very upset. So let's imagine they all went back to sit their next exam. What do you suppose might happen? Well, social experiments of this nature have actually given us some very interesting results. What we found is that in this situation, student A, having earned now a B minus, is even less inclined to work hard. As a result, the average drops. Students C and D have learnt that by working hard enough to earn their usual C and D, they got a B minus. So why bother working any harder? Student who earned a B was rather disappointed to drop to a B minus, so worked just a little less. So now our average has dropped to about a C. As you can imagine, very few of the original students are happy with this result. This shows us one of the fears that people have with communism, that in a capitalist system we are driven by individual interest, and yet in a communist system we are meant to be driven by group welfare. And yet, as this example shows, often we're not willing to work hard for others, particularly if we perceive that those others may not be working hard themselves. And yet it's important to keep in mind that this does not at all suggest that capitalism is the best system. In fact, we need to consider human history in order to have a better understanding of the role that capitalism has played. If this arrow represents all of human history, then capitalism, which probably began about the 1850s on average, is going to fit in a box maybe that big, maybe even less. Up until that point, through all of ancient, medieval, and early modern history, capitalism in the form that we currently know it didn't exist. And so to suggest that capitalism will continue because we currently perceive it to be a better option would be naive. In fact, the only thing that history perhaps teaches us is that change is inevitable.